At this point, you should know how to create and use Vue components. If you remember, in the last episode we extracted our buttons to their own components and made them reusable. But this doesn't necessarily mean that they are flexible. So I think it's a really good time to see how we can use props to pass data to our buttons and make them dynamic. If you're ready, let's dive in. Now we have this one button component which is not flexible because whenever we want to use it, it will look exactly the same and display the same text. Now let's see how we can use props to make it more flexible. This button is the same primary button from our previous episode. I just renamed it so because we will not be using the secondary button. The reason we named them primary and secondary was to define which type of button they were. So I think it's a good idea to give our prop the name of type, and as the value we can do primary. Now let's define our props in our button component. We can do it as like so. The name of the prop, and we have to specify the type of prop we passed in, which is primary is string, but you can pass any type of prop you want. Now let's see how we can use this type in our template to make it flexible. First of all, we need to bind our class, and now we can use this syntax, the object, and the key for this object can be our classes, and the value should be boolean, which means if I do this false, none of these classes will be added to our button, but if I make it true, these classes will be added. So we can use this for our type, and we probably need just a few classes like this color related ones. So let's do it. We can use these classes if our type is primary. Let's test it. We probably need to refresh. Yes, it's working. So let's try to pass another type, which is secondary. Now we will use those classes from our secondary button. I think it's these three classes right here. Let's copy them, and let's add another case, which is this classes if our type is secondary. Let's give it a try, and as you can see, yes, it's working. And our props actually can have default values, which means we can make our primary type our default type. To make it so, we can make our prop an object, and don't get confused here, we need to use type, which is for defining the type of our prop, and the default value, which will be primary. Now if we don't pass anything from our parent, it should default to the primary type, like so. And this is how we can use props to pass data from our parent component to our child component. You might have noticed that we didn't update our text. We can actually use props to make it dynamic, but there is a better way to do this, and it will be the topic of our next episode.